Hey, what's up everyone, this is White Pointer, and in this video, I'm going to be explaining the reasons behind some video game title changes. I've already explained the Mana series, which needed a whole video on its own, but I'd like to cover some more games in this style, and there will be a few in this video: Pac-Man, Mega Man, and Star Fox. Let's get right into it. Did you know Pac-Man wasn't originally called Pac-Man? Designed by Namco employee Toru Iwatani and released in 1980, Pac-Man would become one of the most influential video games of all time. But the original Japanese version of the game was titled Puck-Man, and the name was changed before being localized for the overseas market. Now, you'll probably find a number of reasons floating around on the interwebs that explain the origins of the title Puck-Man. Some sources, such as Wikipedia, claim it was because the main character looked like a hockey puck. Others, such as Mental Floss and Today I Found Out, suggest it's derived from the Japanese paku paku, which is an onomatopoeic slang phrase, that is, a word or phrase that portrays an action, such as whack, boom or crunch, to describe the act of eating, that would be equivalent to something like chomp or om nom nom in English. Whatever the origin of the name is though, it was titled Puck-Man in Japan, but wasn't actually a huge hit in its home country initially. What was the reason for this name change? When Namco was negotiating with Midway about releasing the game in the arcades in the US, Midway expressed concern that the title of Puck-Man could be too easily vandalised. That is to say, someone could easily scratch off part of the P on the arcade cabinet to make it look like the letter F instead. A pretty legitimate concern. The title Pac-Man was suggested, but this wasn't the only thing they changed. The arcade cabinet received completely different artwork, and the game itself was altered slightly to increase the pace and challenge. And the rest, as they say, is history. It quickly surpassed both Space Invaders and Asteroids in revenue, and by the end of its first year on the market, it had generated over $1 billion. That was a heck of a lot of money back then. So you can probably look at this one in hindsight and see that in this particular case, the name change was a smart move. Star Fox was released on the SNES in 1993. The title made sense. You played as Fox McCloud, leader of the Star Fox team, as you piloted an airship to defeat the evil Andross. In PAL regions, that is Europe and Australia, the game was renamed to Starwing. Then, 4 years later in 1997, Star Fox 64 was released on the N64, but the PAL version was titled Lylat Wars. Why the name change? This one basically boils down to Nintendo preemptively avoiding a lawsuit. There are several theories regarding the culprit for this, including a game called Star Fox, one word, that was released on the Commodore 64 in 1987. An issue that didn't exist in the US, as it was released there under the title The Rubicon Alliance. Another strange case of a rename that we're not going to go into now. There was even an Atari 2600 game released in 1983 called Star Fox, two words. Either of these would have made sense as reasons to change the title. But according to Nintendo Life, who interviewed Dylan Cuthbert, a British developer that worked with Nintendo at the time, the actual reason was that a company existed in Germany called Starvox. In the German language, F is pronounced like a V, so the title was changed to avoid any confusion. Even though Jez San, the head of Argonaut, which was the company that actually developed the Super FX chip the game used, has gone on record to say it was an overreaction and didn't believe there would have been any problem had they not changed the title. Star Fox became Starwing, a reference to the airship you pilot in the game called an R-Wing, and Star Fox 64 became Lylat Wars, as the fictional system of planets where the game takes place is the Lylat system. By the time Star Fox Adventures was released on the GameCube though, either the Starvox company was defunct, or Nintendo had sorted out naming issues, or they decided there wasn't any confusion anymore. Whatever the reason, each game in the series from that point retained the Star Fox moniker in all regions. Even Star Fox 64 when it was ported to the 3DS, and the original Star Fox when it was included on the Super Nintendo Classic Mini. The Mega Man games debuted in 1987 on the NES, and since then have appeared on many consoles over the years. They are one of Capcom's best known properties, and are renowned for being extremely challenging 2D side-scrollers, with levels that could be completed in a non-linear order. The main character's name of Mega Man though, and therefore the names of the games in the series, is a US creation. The character's name, and therefore also the game names, are called Rockman in Japan. When one thinks of Rockman, one might assume that the character shoots rocks or has some kind of earth element to him, especially when there are other characters and enemies in the games with names like Airman, Fireman, Iceman, Metalman, and Gravity Man. This isn't the case though. The rock that Rockman refers to here is referring to rock music, hence the names of other characters such as beat, bass, treble, reggae, and tango. So why was Rockman's name changed to Mega Man for the US release? According to an interview with then Capcom US Senior Vice President Joseph Morisi with the now out-of-print Game Players magazine in 1993, it was Morisi himself that decided to change the name. Why? Because he considered the title horrible. Ouch! Here are his own words. That title was horrible, so I came up with Mega Man, and they liked it enough to keep using it for the US games. The games are actually identical to the Japanese versions. You can find scanned pages of this magazine on sites such as Capcom Unity and the Mega Man Network. Well, at least that mystery was easy to solve. So there you go, there's some explanations for the title changes of a bunch of games that you may not have known about. I'm planning on making this a more regular series, so let me know in the comments below what games you think I should investigate that have had weird title changes that you'd like to know the reasons behind. Give me a thumbs up if you liked the video, and don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with my content. Thanks for watching!